If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Every day you're walking by and I can see how you shine. Here I am alone with nothing but a dream that you are mine. Just exactly what I'll do, I don't know, baby, but I gotta find a way to reach. Tell me what I gotta do to get to your house. Tell me where I gotta go and make to be with you. Tell me what I gotta say and make to speak to your heart. Tell me what I need to know tonight.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
The Audio Genius.
Get in on the conversation with Rufus Williams and the Morning Show at 591-1690. We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Good morning, and welcome to Monday. It is the day before Election Day, March 16th, 2026. It's the Rufus Williams Show. I am Rufus Williams, and as always, delighted, thrilled, just excited to be here with you this morning. And thank you so much for waking up with Rufus. The gang's all here. Annette's back there getting ready, doing her thing. Annette, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Rufus, this morning. The weather has gotten us all just a little, we have some blizzard warnings going on. There's low visibility. Just pack those patients. It's just amazing that we're this close to spring, and here we are with another snowstorm.
It's just to let us know that when spring comes, we're going to be thrilled. That's what it is. Titus, what's up with you this morning?
I'm doing well. Like that said, this morning travel in was a little rough, but nothing we're not used to as Chicagoans.
One of the team thought seriously about doing the show remotely this morning.
See, honestly, I thought you would. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, unless he got in-studio guest, he's not coming.
I don't have a studio guest, but I said, you know what? Annette's coming in. Titus will be there. I'm going in. And the folks on TV are going in. I'm not, this is Chicago. I'm not no punk. I'm from the West Side.
There you go.
So there we are. Speaking of the West Side, at the services for Reverend Jackson, Reverend Charlie Dates of Salem and Progressive Church, when he was up front trying to get people to sit down, he said, we need some of these. We have these nice South Side ushers. We need some West Side ushers. Those ushers on the West Side are mean. They don't mess around. Had a chance to talk to the good Reverend on Friday because I took exception to that. And he stood by his word. He stood by. He said, yeah, no, man, I'm serious. Y'all don't mess around on the West Side. Even the mayor agreed with me when I said it. So I had to back up because the other thing was I would have beat them up, which would have just proved his point. So I just had to let it be. Titus, we didn't pay a lot of attention to college basketball.
No, we didn't.
It's March Madness.
It's that time. I'm ready.
It's that time. I sent a note to my son yesterday morning. I said, Brad, are you watching the game? Because his alma mater was playing. He said no. I'm like, what's up?
Got to show them love. What are you
Look,
doing?
man, my son, my wife, my daughter, none of them pay attention to their schools when they're playing, and I'm watching all of them. So he turned and watched it. He said, I will turn to it for you. I'm watching Formula One.
No, I will turn to it for you.
For me. He turned to it for me. Now, here's the thing. It was a great game. It was Yale and Penn. Great game. Penn has this guy scored. He dropped 40 during regulation. Last name Powers. And he hit, when toward the end of the game, when you're down, you foul. They shoot 2 free throws. You try to hit a 3. They did that. Yale shot 2 free throws. Penn hit 3s. The game, it won with 1 second left. The game went into overtime, and Penn won in overtime. So then and there was so many stories around that game. One of which the coach of Yale, black guy, brother, his twin brother was in the stands wearing a Penn cap, and either his son or his nephew played for Penn. So it was really, really interesting to see that, particularly given the schools that were playing. And the other part is, if Yale had won, they would be playing against Illinois on Thursday.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Man, neither my wife or son would have been watching, so it wouldn't have mattered. So I don't know what to do with these people. I just don't know. We are waiting for check-in with Mike Simmons. He's supposed to come on StreamYard any moment. He is running for Congress, so waiting to have a conversation with him this morning. But those things happen. I also yesterday decided, because the plants are starting to come up in the yard.
Okay.
The spring plants, the tulips and all. So I cleared the leaves off, because why do it in the fall? More leaves are coming down.
Exactly. Makes sense to me.
So before the rain yesterday, I removed the leaves, and then I watched all this rain come down and all this snow coming down. I think it was the right move, because I only have one more yard to do before it's all over. And it's much easier to do before the stuff starts to come up than it is when it comes up. So I got my work in. Got my work in yesterday, watched some basketball, watched the Oscars, which we'll talk about. Dr. Sandler is going to rejoin us at 7:30. Those, I don't know that I watched them with the level of intensity that I watched them last night, but it was interesting and fun. And I noticed a lot of documentaries that I need to see. I'm like, that looks interesting. I should watch that. That looks good. I should watch that. So we'll see if there were any surprises or anything else. But in the meantime, let's take a quick break. We'll be back more right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Here we go again. More nonsense. Corporate big shots come here, promise to help the community, and when it's over, we get boarded up buildings, they get pockets of cash. Same old, same old. That's who Ahmed Karar spent his career working for. Corporations that hurt our community. Karar sold us out to get ahead. How can we trust him to work for us when we know he's worked for them?
Senator Emo Jones III is doing big things for our community. As our state senator, he eliminated the statewide tax on groceries, and Jones got $63 million to repair our infrastructure in the South Side. That means more jobs. Jones has stood up to Donald Trump and held ICE accountable. Now, March 17th, we can re-elect Democrat Emo Jones III so he can keep working for us to bring down costs and make us safer. Cast your ballot for Emo Jones III. American Future paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. AmericanFuture.org. Not authorized by Emo Jones III or any federal candidate or committee.
Hi, I'm Richard Boykin, and I want to be your next congressman in the 7th Congressional District. I have a sense of urgency. Now is the time to reverse the cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP benefits. Now is the time to extend the Obamacare subsidies. Now is the time to close the life expectancy gap and other healthcare disparities. Now is the time to close the wealth disparity. Now is the time to close the achievement gap. Now is the time to protect Social Security for our senior citizens. Now is the time to pass a constitutional amendment recognizing healthcare as a right. Now is the time to make housing more affordable. Now is the time to fight. Punch 39. Richard Boykin for Congress. Paid for and authorized by Richard Boykin for Congress.
Robin Kelly grew up behind the register in her dad's grocery store. so she knows what it means when the same groceries cost more each week. Under Donald Trump, corporations get tax breaks, loopholes, and a green light to price gouge. Families get higher grocery bills, higher childcare costs, high healthcare premiums. It's Trump's economy. Corporate profits first, people last. In Congress, Robin Kelly's been fighting back. Robin took on insurance companies to lower drug costs. She wrote the law extending Medicaid for new moms to a full year because cutting care after 60 days was just wrong. And now Robin Kelly is running for Senate with a people over profits agenda. Medicare for all, so healthcare isn't a ripoff. Cap on childcare costs so families can work. And crack down on corporate price gouging so you're not punished at every turn. People over profits. Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate.
I'm Robin Kelly, Democrat running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Robin Kelly for Senate.
The 17 federal bank fraud charges that could have landed Ford in prison for decades have been dropped.
That's the truth. But outside groups are still spending millions lying and attacking my dad. I've watched him serve our communities for 19 years, every day fighting for families, fighting for seniors, and improving our neighborhoods.
And I'm ready to keep fighting for the 7th Congressional District. I'm LaShawn K. Ford, and I approve this message.
That's my dad.
On election night, WVON will be your elections headquarters, keeping you connected to the voices and the issues that matter most to our community. WVON's Rufus Williams, Cleopatra Draper, and David Seaton will make up our roundtable, and we'll have a team on the street at every race that matters, from U.S. Senate to Cook County President to the 2nd and 7th Congressional District races. We'll take you there. When it comes to the March 17th primary election, WVON has got you covered, bringing you the information you need from the station you trust. Get out and vote, then turn us on Tuesday for election night coverage, because at WVON, politics is what we do.
This report is sponsored by Staples. Staples has hundreds of great ways to boost your brand, like spectacular signs, brilliant brochures, eye-popping posters, mouth-watering menus, and more. Shop now through April 18th. And save up to $125 on all your custom prints. Staples. That was easy.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Leave early if you can. Snow causing big problems on the roadways this morning. We're seeing low visibility, blowing snow. Right now, here are your travel times. That inbound trip along the Ryan already 30 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Inbound side of the Bishop Ford, you want to factor in an accident right now on 130th Street, making your inbound trip from I-80-94 to the Ryan 30 minutes. Already 25 in along Tuskegee Airmen Memorial from I-80 to the Ryan. On DuSable Lakeshore Drive, as you make your way from 67th Street to Jackson, we're looking at just about 16 minutes for now. Hollywood to Monroe, a 20-minute trip. Right now, pretty much solid from Irving Park Road to Belmont. You also want to factor in an accident headed southbound along DuSable Lakeshore Drive right at Irving Park Road. Inbound side of the Stevenson, an hour 8 in from I-355 to DuSable Drive. Also in play, an accident is in the right shoulder there at Lamont. If you're on the inbound side of the Eisenhower, an hour 5 right now, down to the Burns Circle, solid from Des Plaines to Sacramento, outbound, a 50-minute trip. The Kennedy in from O'Hare, slow moving at an hour. As you make your way to the airport, give yourself another hour. Taking a look at our weather, as I mentioned, the National Weather Service has issued a new snow blizzard warning in parts of our area. We have snow blowing across the city right now. Temperatures in the 20s. We're looking at 24 at O'Hare, 24 in West Garfield Park, and 24 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. My guest is here. He describes himself as a homegrown, vigorous champion for the people, an energetic legislator, and an accessible leader who gets things done. It's Mike Simmons. He's running for Congress. Mike, good morning and welcome to WVON.
Good morning, Rufus. Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you. So give us a quick Ron, on who Mike Simmons is.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to say that tomorrow is election day. It's a Democratic primary for the congressional elections in Illinois. And I'm very proud to be running for the far north side, north and northwest suburbs congressional seat that Jan Schakowsky is vacating. It's the area that I was born and raised. I myself and Mike Simmons, I served as an Illinois state senator. And 5 years ago, I became the very first African-American Black person to represent the far north side of Chicago in the state Senate, where I've passed 50 bills into law in the last 5 years, including the Illinois' new child tax credit, legislation that erases medical debt for 520,000 people, and legislation that bans hair discrimination against Black youth in all K through 12 Illinois schools, the Jet Hawkins Act. And I'm running for Congress to take this fight to the federal level. And it's an honor to be on the eve, the day right before the election.
Look, we're checking out those lovely locks you have. You have to fight for hairstyle discrimination not to exist, because otherwise, what's the point? Tell us, Mike, what distinguishes you? Why would people vote for you?
You know, I got the life experiences. I'm the son of an African-American mother who had me at the age of 18. She wanted to be a lawyer. She wanted to go to school and do great things, but instead she had me. And then she had my younger sister, and she opened her own small business at the age of 31 years old. A young Black lady opening a salon in Rogers Park with 2 kids. And she made every sacrifice so that I could get the best education, so that I could overcome being bullied as a youth. And even though my mother passed away in 2020, her spirit lives on and imbues so much of the work that I've done in the state Senate and work that I seek to do in Congress. My dad came over from Ethiopia as an asylum seeker in the early 1980s. And so I'm a product of their union. I'm a product of the price that our ancestors paid during the civil rights movement so that we could run for these kind of offices. And I'm proud to be the first Black person to ever run for the Illinois 9th Congressional District, which covers the Chicago neighborhoods of Uptown, Edgewater, Rogers Park, Lincoln Square, West Rogers Park, Evanston, Skokie, Northwest Suburbs, Buffalo Grove and Lake County, and then McHenry County. And I'm proud to have the endorsement of the Congressional Black Caucus, as well as over 30 elected officials, labor unions, and progressive community organizations.
We're proud of you being there. How do you think you were able to overcome and win the seat that you're in when others weren't successful?
You know, I just talked about my family story. I talked about, just to give you the quick story, what happened was in 2020, the prior state senator resigned. And 2 weeks later, she was reelected and she resigned. And they had a cooked up succession plan already made. And I came in and I just talked about my story and frustrated all that. And it was a huge upset that when I got the appointment, and the first call I got was from Governor Pritzker. I had never met him before that. Someone said, "Hey, the governor's going to call you in 60 seconds. I need you to pick up your phone." And when I picked up the phone, Governor Pritzker said, "I know we haven't met, but I've watched this appointment process, and what you've done is you've broken through an institutional wall, and you should be proud." And I made history on February 6th of 2021, becoming the first Black person to ever represent the far north side of Chicago, where I was born and raised in public housing, in fact, in a 3-flat scattered sites building. My family was the first family to move in the early 1980s. My grandmother, my mother, my uncle, who was a Navy veteran, another uncle, and my sister, all in a crowded 3-flat apartment. And look at what I'm doing now. And I'm proud to be one of the top 3 contenders running for this congressional seat out of a field of 15. And it feels good to be Black and running and have a damn good shot at winning tomorrow.
It does feel good to be Black. Obviously, you're impatient. What do you want to get done in Congress?
You know, in Congress, I want to fight to bring down the cost of living for all Americans. You know, people right now are struggling to pay their bills. People are struggling to afford food. People are going without health care. And I'm tired of seeing people go through this, not just Black folks, but all communities. I'm proud that in the Illinois Senate, I've passed 50 bills that stop insurance companies from sending bills to people who are uninsured. I've passed legislation to expand health care for people who are uninsured. And I want to go to Congress to fight to protect and expand Medicaid. I want to fight to protect Social Security. I want to raise the minimum wage to $25 an hour. And I want to make sure that we expand to universal health care. And those are policies that we can get done if we have the right people in these seats who have the lived experiences like my family did, where there were times when I was a kid, we went without health care because my mother would have to make a choice between paying the rent to keep her salon open or having health care for her 2 kids. I don't want people to make these kind of choices anymore. And we're going to have to fight to make these things happen. And I'm all about the fight, and I'm all about winning.
Mike, before we go, talk to us. You have only been in the Senate for a short time, relatively speaking, but talk about what you've been able to get done there.
Yeah, in the state Senate, I've been able to get so much done. I've passed legislation that creates the new Illinois child tax credit. I'm sorry, I lost the video for a second. I passed the new child tax credit, which is now law. People all over Illinois are getting child tax credit, which gives you up to $600 as a tax credit to working parents, single moms and single dads across the state. I think about my mom when she was single. That's why that was the first bill I introduced. That's now law in Illinois. I made that happen. It took 3 years in coalition with so many different community organizations and unions that advocated on it. I'm proud to also have passed legislation in the state Senate that protects our environment. I'm a big champion of clean water. I've passed legislation to secure over $1 million to replace lead pipes in South Evanston, which is in the 9th Congressional District. And I've passed legislation to stop oil companies from installing natural gas pipelines in Pembroke, which is a historically Black farm community in South Chicago. I've been an advocate, I've been a fighter in the state Senate, and I've been a powerful voice. And it makes me emotional this morning to think that tomorrow I could be elected to Congress and take my work to the next level, where I know that my voice will benefit millions more people, and my legislative ability and work ethic will benefit millions more people across the country, and I'm absolutely here for it.
Well, Mike, we wish you nothing but the best. Go win and give us a call on Wednesday morning, and let's talk about how the victory tastes.
One quick thing, Rufus, for
Sure.
folks, and you can go to MikeSimmons.org to read up more about my bio and my background. And I'm on Instagram at Senator Mike Simmons. If you live in the 9th District, I respectfully ask for you to cast a vote for Mike Simmons for Congress. Punch 33. I'm number 3 on the ballot, which ain't a bad place to be.
Never. And Mike Simmons is spelled the traditional way, MikeSimmons.org. Check him out. Mike, good luck. Thank you for coming on with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right. Let's take a quick break, find out from Annette what's going on in the news. And when we come back, let's talk about last night's Oscar ceremonies with Dr. Monica Sandler.
A big blast of early morning snow. Good morning. I'm Annette Flournoy, and here's what's happening. Weather tops our news. The Chicago area is under a winter weather advisory until this afternoon. Expect as many as 4 inches of snow with high wind gusts. Both Chicago airports are experiencing lines and delays. O'Hare reporting more than 300 flight cancellations and 23 at Midway. Also, crews are headed to the southern suburbs in Riverdale and Dalton this morning to access damages following downed trees and power lines. Well, today is Election Day Eve, also considered the biggest early voting day on record. Perry Williams explains.
So far, the suburbs have a stronger early voting turnout than the city because of several open congressional seats. Board of Elections spokesman Max Beber gave his assessment.
People like voting on Election Day, and they'll never break that habit. But at this point, we can say that our numbers that we've seen in the city are encouraging, even if they're not record-breaking numbers.
Beber added that if the citywide turnout can reach 30%, that would set a better trend than what has been seen in recent primaries. I'm Perry Williams.
Be sure to keep it locked all day long to WVON 1690 AM for wall-to-wall live team coverage of primary election day, Tuesday, March 17th. WVON report live from some of the hottest races in town, as well as provide comprehensive analysis live in studio. Well, that's a look at our news now on 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVON News Time, 7:34.
Tuned in to your favorite WVON personalities on Facebook Live? Don't just watch, like it, love it, share it. Every click helps us grow the conversation and keep the community strong. So remember, like it, love it, share it, Chicago.
Illinois, we need to be able to trust our next senator. And Juliana Stratton isn't being honest about who she is. Stratton's massive super PAC is funded by the very contractor running the Broadview ICE Detention Center. ICE raids Chicago. Stratton benefits from ICE contractor cash. Juliana Stratton even got caught lying about refusing money from MAGA donors. We can't trust Juliana Stratton. Democrat Robin Kelly is a real progressive. Unbought, unbossed.
Outstanding members of the House of Representatives, Robin Kelly.
Barack Obama knows. Robin Kelly always fights for us, lowering costs, raising wages, stopping gun violence. Real progressive Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate. Endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus and elect Democratic women. Paid for by Protect Progress and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Protect Progress is responsible for the content of this advertising. www.protectprogresspac.com.
What if you could have the most reliable Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Just 5 years of fiber-powered Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most. That finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family is banking on bandwidth. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi, it would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Powered by fiber. Connected to the premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
This is Congressman Danny Davis saying, don't fall for the okie doke. One mistake on your income tax does not make you a corrupt politician. Charges made, charges dropped. I know LaShawn Ford. He's a good father, a reliable public servant who represents the people and not the PACs. He is known by us. We know him, he knows us. He lives among us, visit our schools, eat at our restaurants. 19 years in the state legislature, protecting Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, SNAP, ex-offenders, and all the rest. The crypto people don't want LaShawn in Washington because they know that he will represent us and not them. Let's send our representative to Washington, LaShawn K. Ford, Punch 31. Paid for by Danny K. and Dr. Vera G. Davis.
This report is sponsored by Text Now. Other wireless carriers tell you when to pay. Text Now asks, what do you need? It's app-first phone service without commitments, credit checks, or a carrier attitude. Built for people who stop asking for permission. Download today.
WVON traffic and weather now.
We're traveling straight to the outbound side of the Bishop Ford. We're seeing some major delays there, down to a crawl, 40 minutes right now from 95th Street to I-80-94. There's no report of an accident, so we'll continue to monitor that. The inbound side of the Bishop Ford, we're looking at 30 minutes there. That's recovering from an earlier crash. It's off to the shoulder at 130th. Tuskegee Air Memorial, still 25 minutes in from I-80 to the Ryan. Once arriving at the Dan Ryan, you'll need another 30 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, 67th Street to Jackson, just bumped up to 18 minutes. Hollywood to Monroe, just about a 21-minute trip there. The inbound side of the Stevenson, heavy, an hour 8 in from I-355 to DuSable Drive, recovering from an earlier crash at Lamont, outbound 40 minutes. The Eisenhower, heavy as well, an hour 5 from Thorndale to the Burn Circle, 50 on the outbound trip. And the Kennedy in from O'Hare to downtown, that's an hour. If you're making your way to the airport, give yourself another hour. Taking a look at our weather, some wild weather across our area. The National Weather Service has issued a new blizzard warning in parts of the area. We're looking at strong gusty winds and low visibility. Right now, it's 25 at O'Hare, 24 in Inglewood, and 24 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Out of the bed yet? Then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
God is good. And yeah, mama, what's up? Y'all know how I feel about my mother and my father's here. Your pops, where you at? My dad came in from Ghana. He flew in from Ghana to be here. My brother, my sister's here, my family. I want to thank Warner Brothers. I want to thank Mike and Pam for believing in this dream, this vision of Ryan Coogler, and betting on the culture and betting on original ideas and original artistry. And you're an amazing person. I'm so honored to call you a collaborator and a friend. And you gave me the opportunity and space for me to be seen. And I love you too, bro. Love you to death. I would like to thank my incredible cast. Wumi, thank you so much for giving Smoke opportunity to be him. Haley at home, she's getting ready to have a baby right now. Thank you so much for being the other half of Stack. Miles, Delroy, Jamie, everybody, Lily, Omar, the entire cast. Thank you guys for supporting me through this. My team, Phil Sun, Greg Slewitt, Lindsey Gallon, man, y'all. I stand here because of the people that came before me. Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith, and to be amongst those giants, amongst those greats, amongst my ancestors, amongst my guys. Thank you, everybody in this room and everybody at home for supporting me over my career. I feel it. I know you guys want me to do well, and I want to do that because you guys bet on me. So thank you for keep betting on me. And I'm gonna keep stepping up, and I'm gonna keep being the best version of myself I could be. So I just want to say thank you for everybody in this room that had something to do with my success. I love you guys, and everybody at home who supported Sinners, who went to go see the movie once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. Thank you, because you guys made this movie what it is. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Michael B. Jordan in his speech last night was just heartfelt and outstanding. We have joining us this morning to talk about the Oscars. She's back, Dr. Monica Sandler from Ball State University. She knows Hollywood. She knows the Oscars. She knows stuff. Dr. Sandler, welcome back to WVON.
Thank you for having me back.
Look, you've become a regular just in a few short days. So you were smiling as I was and listened to that speech. That was just the most heartfelt, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely one of the big highlights of the night, and just really a genuine and sincere speech. I think the moment that I loved the most, especially just as a historian, is where he talks about just almost like in awe that he's amongst, the pantheons and the honor of being included, and singling out people like Halle Berry, Sidney Poitier, and those who've come before him, which is actually like the crux of some of my research as well. So I thought that was just really, really powerful of like knowing and feeling the impact of the moment.
Now that it's over, we talked about it going in, but what did these Oscars feel like to you? I watched them. I can't say that I don't know if I watched them before, and I really, in looking at some of the tributes that were paid, particularly to the Reiners and to Robert Redford, obviously I didn't watch the whole thing because I missed those. So I don't know what I missed, but what stood out to you in last night's ceremony?
Well, certainly there was an extended in memoriam because Hollywood has lost a lot of really, really big icons in the past year. So I think that was some of what you're talking about. That was a highlight for me, as I'm a very big Barbra Streisand fan. So she actually sang, but also just kind of realizing that like there were some really, really huge names that were lost and passed. And I think that's an interesting ritual that happens at the event, where this is as I've kind of indicated last week, like this is an event that celebrates an industry. And so you have that particular moment of reflection. You can hear a lot of people, having really raw emotions in that particular moment because of the people that have been lost in the past year. So that was definitely a highlight. Certainly the performance from Sinners was pretty incredible. Especially Misty Copeland she was dancing, and she is a couple of months out of an injury. So incredible to see her back dancing on the stage for that and recreating one of the best scenes in film in a long time.
It's just incredible to see Misty Copeland anytime you can.
Yes.
So, some people simply are not supposed to age, and Misty is that person. She's just been phenomenal that way. Sinners and One Battle After Another seem to own much of the big awards.
Mm-hmm.
Did any of those surprise you as they turned out?
Mm-hmm. One that was definitely a surprise was Amy Madigan in Best Supporting Actress. She was nominated about 40 years ago, so there's been this long gap and lull. She just seemed absolutely thrilled and giddy while she was up there on the stage, which was delightful in the moment. That's one of the best parts of the service, just how people actually react in the moment. Then that was definitely one of my favorite reactions beyond Michael B. Jordan, of course.
Yeah, it was really a special evening. You could tell it from so many people. I go back to Michael B. Jordan, and we played it at the top because it seemed that everyone in the arena was excited about his win. Yeah. Every single person. And Tiana Taylor, I thought, cheered louder than everybody else, right there next to Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, I mean, and I think just you can see the level of respect that he has. I mean, he's been in the industry a long time now. He's worked with a lot of people, but just, sort of ushering him in and really showcasing the impact he's already had in his career. And he's still pretty young. He's still, I think, he's got a lot more in him going forward. Same with Ryan Coogler, who's, I think, going to make a number of more masterpieces.
I certainly hope so. We think back, Michael B. Jordan starred in Hardball here in Chicago about a little league baseball team years ago. So just thinking back to the earlier parts and watching him then, and, just thinking no different than Denzel, all the different roles that he's played and how well he's played them and how much he's just continued to advance and all those things. It was just, it was fun for me. It was wonderful to watch. It didn't seem like it was too long. The host seemed to carry it pretty well. It just seemed like a good fun night, different than Oscars So White 10 years ago, certainly.
And the Oscars has a tendency to take itself way too seriously, and I didn't feel like it did that last night. I mean, there's certainly moments, the in memoriam, very serious, obviously. But I think Conan O'Brien was sort of leaning into being a little bit more zany at moments. And it led to things moving much more smoothly, because I think when the Academy gets pretentious, everyone rolls their eyes in it.
When they start to think too much or think too seriously about themselves. It was just seemingly a different and a fun night last night. We're talking with Dr. Monica Sandler, talking about the Oscars. Frank, I see you on the line. We'll have more when we come back after this.
More of The Morning Show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Juliana Stratton's massive super PAC is funded by the very contractor running Chicago's largest ICE detention lockup center. Even worse, Juliana Stratton raised taxes on working families by 32%. Then Stratton turned around and promised tax breaks for her corporate donors, higher taxes for us, tax breaks for her wealthy donors. Juliana Stratton selling us out. Raja Krishnamurthy has spent his entire life taking on the powerful for the people. An immigrant, Raja grew up on food stamps, relying on neighbors just to get by. He knows what's at stake because he's lived it. That's why in the Senate, Raja Krishnamurthy will lower drug prices, end taxes on Social Security, and make sure every child has a free lunch at school. Raja Krishnamurthy, our Democratic fighter for U.S. Senate. Paid for by Protect Progress and not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee. Protect Progress is responsible for the content of this advertising. www.protectprogresspac.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Boykin, and I want to be your next congressman in the 7th Congressional District. I have a sense of urgency. Now is the time to reverse the cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP benefits Now is the time to extend the Obamacare subsidies. Now is the time to close the life expectancy gap and other healthcare disparities. Now is the time to close the wealth disparity. Now is the time to close the achievement gap. Now is the time to protect Social Security for our senior citizens. Now is the time to pass a constitutional amendment recognizing healthcare as a right. Now is the time to make housing more affordable. Now is the time to fight. Punch 39. Richard Boykin for Congress. Paid for and authorized by Richard Boykin for Congress.
Hey Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON.
Who is everyone supporting to be our next state rep? Democrat Asia Cooney, a lifelong South Side resident. Asia is ready to work with Governor Pritzker and fight back against Donald Trump. She's a union member, so you know she's backed by Illinois SEIU. They'll work together to bring down costs and create good-paying jobs. And Asia's a tireless advocate for good public schools. That's why Chicago Teachers Union, Illinois Federation of Teachers, and Cook County College Teachers Union are supporting her campaign. Community leaders like Commissioner Carrie Steele and Alderman William Hall support her because she's committed to keeping us safe. If you're ready to elect a leader who will work hard to bring down costs, strengthen our public schools, protect your rights, and focus on public safety, you need to be with Asia Kearney too. Cast your ballot for Asia Kearney by March 17th. American Future paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. AmericanFuture.org. Not authorized by Asia Kearney or any federal candidate or committee.
Maria Pappas with Black Houses Matter.
We're up to way over 400 million here. Yeah, giving money back. How about that? People in Bellwood got 10 million, Broadview 6 million, Burnham 3 million, South Holland 17 million. The city of Chicago's up to $190 million that we have given back to African Americans. Who does that? Nobody does that but WVON.
Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas with Black Houses Matter, Monday mornings at 11:30 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This report is brought to you by AutoZone. AutoZone, get in the zone. Starting Stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Leave early if at all possible. That trip along the inbound Ryan from 95th Street, a slow-moving 30-minute trip. Along the inbound side of the Bishop 4 from I-8094 to the Ryan, 30 minutes. You still want to factor in that earlier crash that's off to the right shoulder at 130th Street. Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, 25 minutes in from I-80 to the Ryan. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, 20 minutes from 67th Street to Jackson. As you make your way from Hollywood to Monroe, give yourself 25. If you're on the Stevenson, we're still looking at about an hour from I-355 to DuSable Drive. Outbound, you want to factor in a crash is on the ramp at Damon, a 40-minute trip out. The Eisenhower now bumped up to an hour 15 from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, outbound 50 minutes. The Kennedy now almost an hour 15 from O'Hare to downtown. Getting to the airport still will take you just about an hour. Some wild weather in our area. The National Weather Service has issued a new blizzard warning. We're seeing some strong gusty winds, low visibility. Right now, temperatures are remaining in the 20s and snowing. It's 24 at O'Hare, 24 in Rosemore, and 24 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Minette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
I want to thank the Academy for thinking of our movie that came out almost a year ago. This is an incredible honor. I want to thank my fellow nominees. You guys, I want to thank y'all for the gifts that y'all movies were and for y'all friendship over the past years and months. I want to thank everybody that was involved with this movie, starting with Warner Brothers. Mike and Pam, you here. David's here somewhere. Everybody, all my cast and crew, please stand up. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. Yo, you guys are, oh my God. You all are winners in my book. Y'all are winners in my book.
Sembo and Hani and Zinzi, you guys are the best producers in the world. Zinzi, you're the best wife and mom in the world. Every day I get to spend with you is better than the one that came before it. And to my parents who are here, thank y'all for all the memories. Thank y'all for making me believe in myself. And to my babies that are at home watching, I apologize for all the time away. Dad loves you. Memories are all we have. I hope I'll give you some great ones. And when y'all blessed to live a long life, and Dad becomes just a memory, I want y'all to remember this one thing. I love y'all more than anything. Thank you.
That was Ryan Coogler, his acceptance speech last night. And Titus, there are only 2 degrees of separation, so don't be surprised one day if I tell you he's going to be on. Don't be surprised. Let me ask you this, Dr. Sandler. Last night, Warner Brothers was the big winner. Yes. Very different than the year before when it seemed that the streaming services were winning. What does that tell us? Anything at all?
I honestly, what happened with Warner Brothers, there's something sort of unnerving about it with the Warner Brothers, like the wider industry issue where Warner Brothers is for sale and now was being bought by Netflix. Now it's being bought by Paramount, apparently. But you had particularly Mike and Pam, who are the 2 executives who greenlit most of these movies. Something like a film like Sinners was seen as a huge risk. Same thing, Weapons was also, which Amy Madigan won for, was a Warner Brothers movie, and One Battle After Another. And this was really films that were focusing on auteurs and giving opportunity to really great filmmakers to be able to express themselves. And is Paramount going to take that risk? Because I think the message of the award season this year was that kind of giving that creative freedom to really talented people leads to people really loving the movies that are put out. And I don't know if Paramount is going to see it that way, because they're going to be sitting on a really large pile of debt when they take over the company. They haven't necessarily done that since the Skydance bought Paramount last year. You haven't necessarily seen that type of focus. So it showcases, I think, what the people want. And the question is, has the industry just completely shot itself in the foot on that front?
Undoubtedly at another time, you'll be back on whenever this merger happens, and we'll talk about what it is, what it does, and what it really means to what we see and receive, because so many lessons come, so much information comes from what people see, and so much belief comes from that. And to have one company have so much sway, and particularly leaning in the way in which it does, in addition to the debt that they pick on, will be very interesting to see what happens to this industry. And I'd love to talk to you about that. Whatever the mergers happen. We take this call from Frank. He's been holding on, waiting to talk about the Oscars. Frank, good morning. Welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning, my friend?
Hey, thank you. Sinners. Good morning, Brother Rufus. Miss Shannon, thank you for joining us and coming in and giving us a breakdown. There's Lord Have Mercy. That movie, It Saved My Bacon. Because when I saw it, I came on the air here and I begged so much on it without giving so much, away about the movie. I'm so proud of Michael B. Jordan. That was a heartfelt speech he gave. Listen, I'm telling you something. I didn't watch it because I wanted to spare my TV. You know why? Because that movie did not win multiple Oscars. I was going to throw a brick through my TV. I'm done with television. I'm done with watching. So, Lord have mercy. I'm so proud. I don't know what to do. But when I got this morning, I just begged the good Lord wake me up as usual, read my little scriptures as usual. Okay, I bum rushed the TV and I heard exactly what I wanted to hear. Oh, yes. And we all know that movie should have got even way more Oscar than what it did. I'm going to tell you the reason why it didn't. Because, darn good and well, they got all the awards that it really deserved. You hear so many people out there crying, shouting about Oscar so black. Okay, there's no doubt about it. I told y'all, if you liked it, Jada Pinkett Smith, some years ago in the movie she made it Out the Different World called Demon Knight, you're going to love Sinners, you know what I'm saying? They should have got multiple. Look, Miss Shannon, especially if you count those awards that would have been given to those, we got our own real-life version of Sinners right here in Chicago. That's right, a bunch of blood-sucking vampires. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to name no name, but the lead character in this movie here is Donald Trump, the head character, the head vampire trying to destroy our community. Okay, and all the supporters of them, y'all all get an Oscar from Frank from the West Side. It's coming to you in a minute. You all know who you are. All you went in and voted for this guy. They voted for evil. This blood-sucking vampire beat all y'all. Y'all gave him the power to suck the life out of all of us. Y'all all got y'all little wars coming. So you add all those, it's been a explosion. And lastly, before I hop off, I will say the lead one would be the nickel slip wolf in sheep clothing, of course. All the rest of y'all are supporting cast. Y'all get the Silver Award since y'all found our conversation so irresistible. You can't stand up. I say the same thing as I hop off right here. The same thing that young lady said, those vampires out there. Y'all come on in, all you MF, but I'm going to say them not there, but all you blood-sucking vampires, come in our conversation. Keep coming in so we can tear y'all but apart like they did the vampires and scissors. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Rufus. I love it.
All right, Frank. Thanks for your call. I'll just point out this. When I talked to Joyanne Reed out at St. Sabina, she referenced Sinners. We talked about that for a bit. And one of the key things in Sinners was that the vampires couldn't get to you unless you invited them in. So when we think about these bloodsuckers and all the things they're doing, they can't touch you unless you invite them in. Dr. Sandler, Marty Supreme didn't seem to win anything last night. Did that have anything to do with Timothy Chalamet's comments, or did they just not win?
So, I mean, I think the film has been in a lot of controversy. So notably, a lot of Chalamet's comments came at the Thursday, the exact day when voting closed. So a lot of the biggest controversy was after people were voting. But the film has been mired in controversy. He himself has been was pretty arrogant going through early parts of the season. And then the director, Josh Safferty, has been in a number of controversies, particularly with some of his behavior on the set or past sets. So there was a scandal. He used to work with his brother in films. There was a scandal in one of the earlier films that was exposed about they work with a lot of non-actors in their films, and that he has a tendency to do kind of guerrilla style filmmaking, gonzo style filmmaking, where he's trying to provoke people to get raw emotion on set. And someone who was a non-actor exposed himself on the set to a minor. And this was a person who had a criminal record who was allowed onto the set. This was about a decade ago. However, the other director, his brother, was not present. And when he found out the full extent of what was happening, it was really what caused the rift. And he didn't do anything about it, which I think one of the purposes of a director is to protect those who are on the set. And he has a tendency to just try and provoke people, even talking about making Marty Supreme. There was this push to really kind of get real emotion out of people, but that can mean people threatening each other, people being aggressive on the set, and that isn't conducive to a safe environment. So there's been a lot of discussion about whether or not that's appropriate conduct on a set, even beyond the incident that happened nearly a decade ago.
Thank you for that explanation. That tells us a whole lot about certainly appreciate it. Dr. Sandler, you've been wonderful to be with us a couple times. Again, when this merger happens, I'm glad we now know how to reach you, because we need that expertise to talk about it, because it does truly culture changes. Culture is really what makes a country and what makes a people, and what we get from these movies and what we get from television and what we get from all these things that are going to happen as this merger happens will impact all of us. I look forward to talking with you about that.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Be well. Let's find out from Annette what's going on in the headlines and what's in Black Information News. We'll have more for you when we come back right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Blizzard-like conditions on this March 16th, 2026. I'm Annette Flournoy, in the headlines. The Chicago area is under a winter weather advisory until this afternoon. Expect 1 to 4 inches of snow with strong winds. National news from the Black Information Network is next on Chicago's original social media platform, WVON 1690 AM, Berwyn, Chicago. It's 8:03.
This report is sponsored by WeatherBug. Get the fastest local alerts and accurate 24/7 forecasts with WeatherBug. It's easy to use and provide real-time customizable alerts so the weather never takes you by surprise. Plan every day with confidence. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store now.
I'm Vanessa Tyler on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
He's faced the Jim Crow kind of racism from yesterday and sees the modern kind today. With more work to do, 85-year-old South Carolina Congressman James Clyburn is tying up his running shoes and jumping in for re-election again.
Today, I'm going to answer a question that's always asked. What is there unfinished, or what more you need to do? Well, it's in the preamble of our Constitution. We exist in pursuit of a more perfect union. There's nobody here today who thinks that this country is perfect.
Clyburn was a strong part of the Democratic congressional leadership, along with former Speaker Nancy Pelosi from California and Steny Hoyer from Maryland. Both of them are not running again. There is pressure for new young leadership, but the Black lawmaker points to experience and the fight left in him. If he wins, he would be serving his 18th term in Congress. A terrorism connection to the shooting at Virginia's Old Dominion University. Officials say the shooter entered the ROTC classroom locked and loaded. 3 people were shot, 1 has died, but those in the classroom were also armed and able to shoot Muhammad Jalla dead in his tracks. Jalla, a former member of the National Guard, got out of prison in the last couple of years. He was locked up for buying guns for ISIS, and he shattered the campus calm Thursday. Students, many of them Black, had to run and hide. ODU President Brian Hemphill, who is Black, says this has rocked their campus.
To say the least, today was a tragic day for the campus of Old Dominion University. Our campus and our community have been truly shaken and forever impacted by this senseless act of violence. We want to extend our thoughts and prayers to the families and the victims and those that were impacted by this act today.
An update to what officials are calling an ISIS-inspired attack in New York. Reports are a notebook was found indicating the 2 men arrested may have had other soft targets in mind, like shopping centers. The young men from Pennsylvania, ages 18 and 19, were arrested for throwing homemade bombs outside Gracie Mansion, the mayor's residence, where there were protesters and counter-protesters. Luckily, none of the IEDs were able to detonate. A Black man is settling in Texas to serve 4 50-year sentences for murder. Officials in San Antonio say killer Geronte Pleasant had a unique way to find his prey. He would lure them through dating apps, and back in 2023, he used Grindr to do just that, murdering and robbing 2 white men. One was 54, the other 22. Officials also got him on aggravated robbery and a case of aggravated sexual assault of a child. All 4 sentences put together amounted to 200 years, but will run concurrently, leaving about 50 years for the 25-year-old to pay for his crimes. I'm Vanessa Tyler on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Chantel Franklin knows the struggle because she's lived it. As a child, she didn't always have a home to go to, changing schools constantly, struggling to get by. But she turned her troubles into triumph. She's dedicated her life to making sure no other children fall through the cracks. Chantel Franklin helped deliver for us in the Attorney General Kwame Raoul's office, defending our rights and pushing back against Donald Trump's harmful policies. Now, Chantel is running for the State House as a Democrat to keep fighting for us. Chantel will work to make housing more affordable and accessible, so no child grows up facing housing insecurity like she did. And Chantel will stand up to Donald Trump's harmful policies, including his ICE raids whenever they try to attack our neighbors. Vote for Chantel Franklin by March 17th. That's Chantel Franklin by March 17th. American Future paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. AmericanFuture.org. Not authorized by Chantel Franklin or any federal candidate or committee.
Secure the rate, love the return. Hi, I'm Harry Malone, Vice President and Community President of United Fidelity Bank. At United Fidelity Bank, we make it easier than ever to start growing your money with confidence. Right now, you can take advantage of our high-yield CDs, including our 6-month term, currently paying 4.20% annual percentage yield. It's a competitive rate designed to help your savings work harder from day one. And when you bank with us, you're choosing more than a great rate. You're choosing a team that believes in personal service, relationships, and financial solutions solutions tailored to your goals. We're not a big box bank. We're your local partner committed to delivering the experience you need and the service you deserve. Stop by and see me or my team to open your high-yield United Fidelity Bank CD at our Chicago flagship branch at 1701 West 87th Street. Details at unitedfidelity.com.
Rates are subject to change at any time. CDs renew automatically to a standard rate in effect at the time of renewal unless instructed otherwise. Member FDIC.
Hey Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON. Maria Pappas with Black Houses Matter.
We're up to way over 400 million here. Yeah, giving money's back. How about that? People in Bellwood got 10 million, Broadview 6 million, Burnham 3 million, South Holland 17 million. The city of Chicago's up to $190 million that we have given back to African Americans. Who does that? Nobody does that but WVON.
Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas with Black Houses Matter, Monday mornings at 11:30 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This report is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Don't let data limits hold you back from being the GIF master in the family group chat. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get Unreal Unlimited data on a reliable 5G network. Straight Talk, available at Walmart or straighttalk.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Inbound Ryan still heavy, but moving at 30 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Getting to the Ryan along the Bishop Ford, now a 26-minute trip from I-80-94 to Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, 25 minutes traveling in from I-80. On the outbound side, though, you do want to look out for an accident at 107th Street. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, things have picked up quite a bit. We're looking at just about 18 minutes from 67th Street to Jackson, 25 from Hollywood to Monroe, pretty much stop and go from Lawrence all the way to North Avenue. The inbound side of the Stevenson holding on to that hour from I-355 to DuSable Drive, outbound a 40-minute trip with that accident on the ramp at Damien still in play. The inbound side of the Eisenhower, an hour 15 from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 50 traveling out. If you're on the Kennedy and from O'Hare to downtown, expect about an hour 15 there. Getting to the airport, an hour. Some wild weather in our area. The National Weather Service has issued a new blizzard warning in parts of our area. We're looking at strong winds, low visibility. Right now, 24 at O'Hare, 24 in the South Loop, and snowing, and 24 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Voting is power, and power looks good on you. Voting is underway throughout Chicago and Cook County. WVON vote.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to. WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Rufus Williams on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
You wonder how I do it. It's just one simple rule. I'm just cool. Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. R-U-F-U-S. Well, stand still. R-U-F-U-S. I'm just cool. Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Sing it, baby. R-U-F-U-S. What's that stand? R-U-F-U-S. That felt cool.
The audio genius. The audio genius. The audio genius.
Welcome back. Got some more time to talk about the Oscars or whatever you all want to talk about. We've covered a few things this morning, or we haven't. At least I've thought about a lot of things. We can cover all the things I thought about. How about that? But first, we do have some thoughts about sinners. Victoria, good morning and welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Doing great.
Good. So I try to listen to the other callers. I didn't understand anything that last caller said, but I love Michael B. Jordan. He's a wonderful actor. He carries himself well, just wonderful representation as an African American young man. In terms of the movie, I was wondering if you knew, or maybe some of the callers might have an idea of why the movie was so controversial as it relates to faith-based people, Christianity. A lot of Christians and others of faith was saying that, to not go see it because it was, I guess, a lot of things that the Bible speaks against. So I was just wondering, because I think although a lot of people enjoyed it and probably went to see it, a lot of them did not because of that.
Interesting. I hadn't heard it. I can think of a number of pieces of reasons, particularly the vampires, the demonization, the blue. There's a lot of stuff that people could look against, but rather than me just try to guess, let me do some research, or perhaps one of our listeners can call in and share those thoughts. But I appreciate you elevating that question. Yeah,
a significant, large amount of people did not go and see it because of that reason.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Victoria, thank you
Okay.
thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Michael O'Connor, good morning. Welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I watched the Oscars last night, and I was finally, it was good to see Michael B. Jordan actually win. He does represent himself well. And I know that the Academy has 1,100 Academy people who are voters, who actually vote for who they think is the best actor. And they thought that Michael B. Jordan was the best actor. My question was, why didn't he get the best picture? But I also understand that being representing yourself well, I was up actually counting campaign stuff. And I think that I'd like to remind people today, all those who are in districts, to get their campaign literature out, because tomorrow is the actual election, and campaign literature won't help the candidate if it's still in the House. That's why I'm still out here stomping for 7th Congressional District candidate LaShawn K. Ford, who punched 31, who I actually believe to be the best representation of that district to represent himself and our community well. And that's my comment. Please, in the 7th Congressional District, punch 31. That's my comment today. You have a great day.
Appreciate you, Michael O'Connor. Yes, tomorrow is election day, so go vote today. The polls will be crowded tomorrow. Weather could be worse, and we need to make sure that we get it done. What tends to happen in a number of these elections, particularly the midterms, low turnout. And if you don't vote, you get what you get. So let's engage. Let's be involved. We certainly recognize the loss of Reverend Jackson, and thinking back just to Selma, which was memorialized for 61 years ago, a week ago. That was all about the vote and the necessity to do so. So let no one take that away from you. I went and voted Saturday and was shocked. No one was there but me. Maybe there were a couple of other people, but I expected lines, and I didn't get them, didn't see them. There were more people outside handing out pluggers and flyers and information than there were inside voting. So I vote up north. Let that not be the case in our communities where it matters so unbelievably much. Let's take a quick break. Be back with more right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Hi,
I'm Richard Boykin, and I want to be your next congressman in the 7th Congressional District. I have a sense of urgency. Now is the time to reverse the cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP benefits. Now is the time to extend the Obamacare subsidies. Now is the time to close the life expectancy gap and other healthcare disparities. Now is the time to close the wealth disparity. Now is the time to close the achievement gap. Now is the time to protect Social Security for our senior citizens. Now is the time to pass a constitutional amendment recognizing healthcare as a right. Now is the time to make housing more affordable. Now is the time to fight. Punch 39. Richard Boykin for Congress. Paid for and authorized by Richard Boykin for Congress.
Black Creativity 2026 is now open at the Griffin Museum of Science and Industry. The exhibit features the nation's longest-running exhibition of Black art, plus interactive family experiences, STEAM career showcases, youth flight school camps, and signature events throughout the season. From art and innovation to education and community celebration, Black Creativity uplifts the voices, stories, and contributions of Black artists across generations. Buy tickets today at griffinmsi.org.
Illinois, we need to be able to trust our next senator. And Juliana Stratton isn't being honest about who she is. Stratton's massive super PAC is funded by the very contractor running the Broadview ICE Detention Center. ICE raids Chicago. Stratton benefits from ICE contractor cash. Juliana Stratton even got caught lying about refusing money from MAGA donors. We can't trust Juliana Stratton. Democrat Robin Kelly is a real progressive. Unbought, unbossed.
Outstanding members of the House of Representatives, Robin Kelly.
Barack Obama knows. Robin Kelly always fights for us. Lowering costs, raising wages, stopping gun violence. Real progressive Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate. Endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus and elect Democratic women. Paid for by Protect Progress and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Protect Progress is responsible for the content of this advertising. www.protectprogresspac.com.
It's tax season, and by now, I know you're a bit tired of the numbers, but here's an important one you need to hear. $16 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud. Not all grim news. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second for your personal information and alerts you to threats that you could easily miss on your own. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to fix it. Save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code BECK, 1-800-LifeLock or lifelock.com. Terms to apply.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
This is Kamini Khan, certified financial planner professional. For the past year, I've been on a mission to change lives and build wealth in our community. Together, we're changing the paradigm. This year, I'm back with a new series, Wealth Strategies, Money Talks. Join me every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on the Rufus Williams Show as we have thoughtful discussions around building wealth in our community. We'll discuss topics like investing, savings, tax strategies, retirement, and all things money. Yes, that's Tuesday at 8:30 a.m., so set those alarms. Also, be sure to check out the podcast at WVONwealthshow.com.
Komini Khan is a certified financial planner professional with Optimal Planning Partners in alliance with Equitable Advisors, LLC member SIPC in Oak Brook, Illinois. For more information, please call 630-575-5046.
This report is sponsored by WeatherBug. Get the fastest local alerts and accurate 24/7 forecasts with WeatherBug. It's easy to use and provide real-time customizable alerts so the weather never takes you by surprise. Plan every day with confidence. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store now.
WVON traffic and weather now.
No surprises on our roadways, heavy and slow. 30 minutes in from 95th Street into downtown. As you make your way along the Bishop 4, still that 26-minute trip in from I-80-94, Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, 25 in from I-80. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, heavy and slow. 67th Street to Jackson, give yourself 18 minutes. That trip from Hollywood to Monroe, now just about 27. If you're on the inbound side of the Eisenhower, an hour, and from I-355 to DuSable Drive, 50 traveling out. An hour 15 still along the Eisenhower from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 50 on the outbound trip. The Kennedy heavy in both directions, an hour plus. In from O'Hare to downtown, you're looking at an hour getting to the airport. Snowy and windy. The National Weather Service has issued a new blizzard warning in parts of our area. Right now it's 25 at O'Hare, 24 in Auburn Gresham, and 24 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flurnoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Step right up and be a man, 'cause you need faith to understand. So we're saying,
Welcome back. Wow, things are never what you think that they are just on the surface. And the name of the title of the movie is Sinners. It's clearly about sinners. What's the other side of that? So I appreciate Victoria for elevating that concept. My quick research says that based on the context of the film, the perception that faith-based individuals turned against sinners stems from a conflict between Christian dogma and cultural, often rebellious lifestyles. So ultimately, the context in the film, the faith-based turn against sinners as a result of a deep-seated systemic struggle for control over defining morality, freedom, and in some cases, the cultural or personal identity of the sinner. Just more reasons to go watch Sinners again and look at it from different perspectives. I know that there was a perspective there that you just watch it because you watch it and you get whatever that is. And you watch it again to see what the stories are, what you missed. Then you watch it again because Joy Reid gave us some different thoughts about what's in Sinners. And now Victoria has told us to watch it again to see why the Christians don't like it and what all of this is. So a lot of reasons, a lot of stories. And if in fact I do get that opportunity to talk to Ryan Coogler, he's the one to tell us. So one more reason why, okay, now I'm going to pursue him. Before it was just, let's talk to him. Now, Ryan, talk to us about what we did and what's there. It's kind of not much different than when you read books. And there's a lot in there. And if you read through it too fast, you'll miss the words that the author actually gave you to study. So one and more reasons to watch Sinners. I do
see, Rufus. I think one of the reasons why, because I remember this when the caller brought it up, I do remember them saying this, and one of the reasons why I think that a lot of people were against it, just because of the fact is that it's coming from a perspective of our story, and the truth of the matter is that a certain religion was forced on people, and then we made choices to either be religious or rebel against it. And so that kind of underlying thing and tone happened in the movie. Then also, like you said, again, with the music, it kind of was looked at as devil music or, something that you shouldn't be listening to. And here we are with making life choices to become a better person. So I think that's one of the things that kind of scared the people from it. But if you actually look back on the movie and look at the history of it, that's literally what happened to Black people before the Great Migration to the upper states. So I think it was really good. And if you didn't see it, I encourage you to watch it just because of, it's some religious undertones in there, but at the same time, it's a human story.
Yeah, and you think about in so many ways, this takes we've gone to a whole different conversation, but in so many ways, the Bible was used and Christianity was used even through slavery to try and teach us things where we should be submissive. And I have a hard time very often. I don't debate with people about what's in there because I will just give you that you understand it better than I do. And I will stop and simply think about what makes sense to me and argue it from that standpoint. It says in here, focusing a bit, the way the film interrogates how the Black church and Christianity have embedded themselves into the genetic code of Black people. I never imagined seeing that conflict play out so soundly and specifically in such a massive mainstream way. Being someone raised in Southern churches that's called their mother to pray over them when they felt particularly scared, she says, I couldn't breathe when Sammy began reciting the Lord's Prayer and Remick came up behind him to finish the scripture. Then he flips it, launching into his own fiery sermon about the disdain he feels for the violence of the Bible and how it couldn't save either of them. The beauty and terror of this scene was so cutting, so indulgent, it felt like watching revolutions unfold. A lot in there. It's titled Sinners. It's more than just entertainment. There's some stories, some carrying that's really deeper, much deeper in the movie than we may have otherwise seen. There's one thing that we did not talk about today. I will get to it eventually. I happen to carry around with me now a copy of the U.S. Constitution. In fact, it's the U.S. Constitution in African-American context, where the highlighted pieces in here are the pieces that reflect on us. And I will tell you, it's a small version on the second page. It talks about the 3/5 rule. So it gets into all those things, but that's not why I pulled it out this morning. I pulled it out for Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. I am appalled. I'm appalled that the chairman of the FCC is pushing hard against the media when we speak about this war that's going on. This war, which is in some ways called a war, it's an undeclared war. Congress did not step forward and say we're at war, but this is what we're dealing with. And the fact that the First Amendment exists specifically for these purposes, it really challenges us. So we'll have to talk more about the First Amendment, where we are, who gets to say, who gets to speak, and the ability of a government to remove the rights of people when in fact this is established right there in the Constitution, for which when one goes into office, this is what you vow to uphold. I'll leave it there for the moment, but it's much to talk about when we are looked to being silenced. And that's the first thing that happens. One of the first things that happens in an authoritarian reign. Let's find out from Annette what's going on in the news. When we come back, speaking of press, we get to talk to Natalie Moore. She knows a lot about these things. We'll be back right after this.
A snowy Monday in Chicago. Good morning. I'm Annette Flournoy, and here's what's happening. Weather tops our news. A winter weather advisory is in effect for Cook and outlying areas until this afternoon. We're looking at a possible snow accumulation of up to 4 inches, along with wind gusts of up to 45 miles per hour. Both Chicago airports are experiencing long lines and delays. O'Hare reporting more than 300 flight cancellations and 23 at Midway. Also, crews are headed to South Suburban Riverdale and Dalton this morning to assess damages following downed trees and power outages due to high winds. Well, today is primary election day eve. Over the weekend, several candidates got in some last-minute campaigning at places like Saturday's downtown St. Patrick's Day Parade, as well as the South Side and Northwest Side Irish Day Parades on Sunday. Meanwhile, there's a last-minute endorsement announcement stirring up controversy. At a veteran-owned bakery in Hyde Park Sunday, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton announced that the late Reverend Jesse Jackson endorsed her before he died last month. While shaking hands at the Southside Irish Parade, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy told reporters, "I don't know if I'm going to be getting an endorsement from the grave." Congresswoman Robin Kelly held a Get Out the Vote rally in Lakeview on Sunday afternoon. She was also caught by surprise about the endorsement. According to reports, no one in the Jackson family has confirmed whether the late civil rights icon backed anyone in the races. Today is also the last day for early voting in Illinois. We get more from Perry Williams.
So far, the suburbs have a stronger early voting turnout than the city because of several open congressional seats. Board of Elections spokesman Max Bever gave his assessment.
People like voting on Election Day, and they'll never break that habit. But at this point, we can say that our numbers that we've seen in the city are encouraging, even if they're not record-breaking numbers.
Bever added that if the citywide turnout can reach 30%, that would set a better trend than what has been seen in recent primaries. I'm Perry Williams.
Be sure to keep it locked all day long to WVON 1690 AM for wall-to-wall live team coverage covering the primary election Tuesday. WVON will report live from some of the hottest races in town, as well as provide comprehensive analysis live in the studio. That's a look at our news now on 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVON News Time, 8:34.
On election night, WVON will be your elections headquarters, keeping you connected to the voices and the issues that matter most to our community. WVON's Rufus Williams, Cleopatra Draper, and David Seaton will make up our roundtable, and we'll have a team on the street at every race that matters, from U.S. Senate to Cook County President to the 2nd and 7th Congressional District races. We'll take you there. When it comes to the March 17th primary election, WVON has got you covered, bringing you the information you need from the station you trust. Get out and vote, then turn us on Tuesday for election night coverage, because at WVON, politics is what we do.
This is Commissioner Larry Rogers, here to tell you about my friend Judge Michael Cabinargi. For years, I worked side by side with Michael to fix our property tax system and protect homeowners. We can trust Judge Michael Cabinargi. That's why he is endorsed by the Democratic Party and has the highest bar rankings in the race. Judge Cabinargi is the only candidate with judicial experience, and he deserves our vote on March 17th.
Paid for by Friends of Cabinargi.
Hey family, if I told you the Chicago Urban League is offering free mini massages, haircuts, express manicures, refreshments, and prizes, you would show up, right? Well, save the date. March 21st is their 5th annual Black Wellness Fair at their new Empowerment Center in Chatham. Health is wealth. Optimize your health to reach your full potential. Hear from Black doctors discussing physical and mental health and clinical trials. Get health and vision screenings for the entire family. Enjoy healthy cooking demonstrations, nutrition tips and samples, free yoga and line dancing sessions. They'll also have financial wellness resources, CUL partners, the Healthy Living with a Vision Foundation, and the Links Incorporated will be among the vendors. Saturday, March 21st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Meet the Chicago Urban League at their Empowerment Center for their 5th annual Black Wellness Fair. 8331 South Stewart Avenue in Chicago. This event is free and open to all. Register at chiul.org. That's chiul.org.
This is Congressman Danny Davis. For decades, the Cook County Assessor's Office was plagued by corruption. That's all changed with Fritz Kagi. Fritz Kagi brought real transparency to the Assessor's Office, and he's made it easier and more affordable for the people who need it most. Seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities. Under Fritz, hundreds of thousands of residents have seen lower tax bills. And for many others, he's kept increases down by making sure wealthy commercial property owners finally pay their fair share. This is what reform looks like. Honest, accountable, and on the side of working people. I'm Danny Davis. Join me to support Democrat Fritz Kagi for Cook County Assessor. Primary day is Tuesday, March 17th.
Paid for by Friends for Fritz.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
This report is brought to you by ComEd, powering lives. Here's a great savings idea. Did you know you've got the power to manage your energy? Yep, from usage alerts to energy savings programs and more. ComEd has all kinds of ideas to help you gain control over your energy cost. Find out more at ComEd.com/energy savings.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Right now, there's a new accident on the outbound Bishop Ford at 111th Street. That inbound trip from I-80-94 to the Ryan, 26 minutes. Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, still just about 25 minutes in from I-80. Once you arrive at the Ryan, you'll need another 30 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, still pretty much a 17-minute trip in from 67th Street to Jackson. Hollywood Monroe, 20. The Stevenson, a slight improvement, an hour from I-355 to DuSable Drive, outbound still just about 45. If you're on the Eisenhower, a little better there, but still heavy at an hour from Thorndale to the Burn Circle, 50 on the return trip. The inbound side of the Kennedy, still an hour plus from O'Hare to downtown. Getting to the airport, slightly better, now 50 minutes. We're seeing some snow pretty much across our area. The National Weather Service has issued a new blizzard warning in parts of the area. We're looking at strong winds and low visibility. It's 24 at O'Hare, 23 in Fernwood, and 23 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm NF Lernoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. Part of what I get to do, and I'm really thrilled about, I get to talk to Natalie Moore regularly now about different things, the ultimate journalist. Natalie, good morning and welcome back to WVON.
Good morning, Rufus. It's always a pleasure to be in conversation with you.
The pleasure is mine. I was laughing. You won't believe the comments that we're making on Facebook about the endorsement. I'll just leave it there, folks. So folks can check it out on their own. Natalie, we're talking about a bunch of things. Did you see the Oscars last night?
I did.
Have you watched Sinners?
Multiple times, yes.
Your thoughts?
I loved it. I was I was late coming to it. I just saw it I think in January, and I was really blown away by it. And I wrote a piece. I sent it to you in the Sun-Times, and my piece was about Chicago and its new Negro swagger. As I was watching the movie, I just kept thinking about, like, Chicago was a character that wasn't seen. You know, there were lots of little Easter eggs, such as the Pullman train car, you know, obviously Buddy Guy. And we know that the twins Smoke and Stack had been in Chicago and had been bootleggers working for the Italian and the Irish outfits. But one thing that I hadn't seen anyone write about was World War I. And they were veterans, and they were part of the new Negro movement. The new Negro movement is thought about just in terms of, often it's just thought about in terms of the Harlem Renaissance. That was the cultural aspect. But new Negro was a term coined by scholar Elaine Locke that represented, you know, Negroes who were born after slavery, who were questioning, you know, white supremacy, their role in this country, what they had at stake. And a lot of that, you know, happened after World War I. And the 1919 race riots that were in Chicago, you had, you know, veterans who were defending their homes and their properties. And they were, you know, they had weapons. They knew how to use this. So I just kept thinking about the swagger of the twins throughout the movie. And, you know, I think it's okay to talk about spoilers, right? And if people have seen it. Yeah. And, you know, there were moments where they would say, you know, I'm a soldier, or someone would say, ain't you a soldier? And that last scene, one of the last scenes where the twin is hiding in the bushes and then ambushes the KKK members who were planning to burn down the juke joint. And, he kills them all. He's got grenades, he's got machine guns. And that scene to me represented, you had these African-American men fighting for democracy abroad. They come back home and they're treated as second-class citizens. Yet the tools that you gave them, the violent tools that you gave them to defend democracy abroad, they were able to turn on the white supremacists in that movie with that scene.
So another analysis, more reasons to go watch Sinners again, because there's more there that people probably just missed in watching so much that was there. I want to talk, Natalie, about the reason that you're here, because I got so much stuff to talk to you about. And I know we're not going to have time, but this Hammer and Hope, a new magazine on the Black political front. Talk about that. And these, you've written it more than one piece in here. You talked about the tyranny of Chicago, and now about the women who lost their jobs. Tell us about Hammer and Hope in your writings.
Yes. So Hammer and Hope, as you mentioned, is a newish. It's been around for a few years. It's a digital magazine on Black politics and culture, and it's been an honor to write for them. Last fall, I wrote about Trump's tyranny in Chicago. So, the name of the magazine is inspired by Black radicals in Alabama who struggled in the 1940s and 30s against capitalism and white supremacist terror. And that is the name of the scholars, Robin D.G. Kelly's book, Hammer and Hope. So that's the inspiration for the name. You can read about Trump's tyranny. You can also read about the death of D'Angelo. So, it is a range, and a piece that is coming out today is looking at Black women who were doged a year ago and what their lives are like now.
Natalie, when you go in and you start to research these things, and you are the ultimate journalist, I mean, you've covered so many different things, and you teach, you write, you come join me now on the radio since you're not doing NPR, but you do that, you study soap operas, you got a whole litany of things. But when you start to think about this, and it's interesting that you write this piece, and this piece comes out during Women's History Month, what can we learn from what took place in Doge, and what can we learn from these sisters who lost jobs, multitudes of them, during these cuts?
So the way that I approached this piece was I did a call out. I posted on social media. I sent emails to people, asking, do you know someone who was doged? A union put out a form for me. And so, that was sent out, and I got some responses, and I checked in to see the kind of jobs that they had. We really wanted to focus on women who had been in unions, not just like the lawyers or the PhD women. Not that they don't have a story to tell, of course, but we wanted to make sure that it was a little bit broader than maybe what we had seen. And the women that I talked to, one worked for USAID, which we know was one of the first agencies to go under Elon Musk and his chainsaw. I talked to a woman who worked in U.S. forestry, getting urban youth into the outdoors and also connecting them with HBCU land grants. I talked to a woman who worked in DHS, Department of Homeland Security, investigating, civil rights claims, and also a woman who worked for the CDC. So 3 out of these 4 women had jobs that were considered DEI. And DEI is, it's such a broad term, and one that is used and something that has been around. There are protections in the federal government that came around in the 1960s. And so a lot of these cuts have been illegal, and courts have said that, but we know this administration really doesn't care about that. But I also want to highlight some of the data that is out there. There's an economist who analyzed, first there was an analysis by the National Women's Law Center that found that women and people of color make up a majority of employees hit by those Trump job cuts. The hardest hit agencies were housing, Veterans Affairs, education, health, and human services. And then there was a gender economist named Katika Roy, who crunched the numbers, and Black women comprise 6% of the overall U.S. labor force and 12% of the federal labor force. Of the almost 300,000 federal jobs slashed in 2025, Black women were a stunning 33% of those cuts.
That is, wow. just wow. And that, recognizing where Black women stand in our community and our families, that is devastating on so many levels. Need to take a quick break. When we come back, Natalie, I want to just ask you, when you write these pieces, what brings forth the questions that you decide you want to answer? Because somewhere in here, it doesn't just come from nowhere, but you've got a question, you're looking to answer, and you write and give wonderful thoughts on these pieces. So curious about that. We're talking with Natalie Moore. She's a professor at Northwestern, amongst all the other things she is. We'll have more with her when we come back after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Robin Kelly grew up behind the register in her dad's grocery store, so she knows what it means when the same groceries cost more each week. Under Donald Trump, corporations get tax breaks, loopholes, and a green light to price gouge. Families get higher grocery bills, higher childcare costs, high healthcare premiums. It's Trump's economy. Corporate profits first, people last. In Congress, Robin Kelly's been fighting back. Robin took on insurance companies to lower drug costs. She wrote the law extending Medicaid for new moms to a full year because cutting care after 60 days was just wrong. And now Robin Kelly is running for Senate with a people over profits agenda. Medicare for all, so healthcare isn't a ripoff. Cap on childcare costs so families can work. And crack down on corporate price gouging so you're not punished at every turn. People over profits. Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate.
I'm Robin Kelly, Democrat running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Robin Kelly for Senate.
Hello, this is Congressman Danny Davis, and I want to tell you why I'm supporting Tony Preckwinkle for Cook County Board President. When Donald Trump targeted our community and deployed mass ICE agents onto our streets, Tony fought back, barring ICE from county buildings, especially our hospitals, and with Governor Pritzker defeated Trump in court. Tony has also taken on the financial pressure facing our family. She led the effort to eliminate medical debt in Cook County, work that has now erased $1.5 billion for our residents. For 15 years, she's balanced the county budget without raising property taxes, expanded health care to more than 400,000 people through county care, and invested hundreds of millions of dollars in community safety and small business. That's why I'm with Tony. I'm Congressman Danny Davis. Join me, Governor Pritzker, and so many others across Cook County in supporting Tony Preckwinkle for County Board President.
Paid for by Preckwinkle for President.
This is Kamini Khan, certified financial planner professional. For the past year, I've been on a mission to change lives and build wealth in our community. Together, we're changing the paradigm. This year, I'm back with a new series, Wealth Strategies, Money Talks. Join me every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on the Rufus Williams Show as we have thoughtful discussions around building wealth in our community. We'll discuss topics like investing, savings, tax strategies, retirement, and all things money. Yes, that's Tuesday at 8:30 a.m., so set those alarms. Also, be sure to check out the podcast at WVONWealthShow.com.
Komini Khan is a certified financial planner professional with Optimal Planning Partners in alliance with Equitable Advisors, LLC member SIPC in Oak Brook, Illinois. For more information, please call 630-575-5046.
Here we go again. More nonsense. Corporate big shots come here, promise to help the community, and when it's over, we get boarded up buildings, they get pockets of cash. Same old, same old. That's who Ahmed Karar spent his career working for, corporations that hurt our community. Karar sold us out to get ahead. How can we trust him to work for us when we know he's worked for them?
Senator Emo Jones III is doing big things for our community. As our state senator, he eliminated the statewide tax on groceries, and Jones got $63 million to repair our infrastructure in the South Side. That means more jobs. Jones has stood up to Donald Trump and held ICE accountable. Now, March 17th, we can re-elect Democrat Emo Jones III so he can keep working for us to bring down costs and make us safer. Cast your ballot for Emo Jones III. American Future paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. AmericanFuture.org. Not authorized by Emo Jones III or any federal candidate or committee.
Hey, it's Cleopatra Draper. Join me for the Midday Show weekdays at 9 a.m. where we'll sip and spill all the tea. Do you want it hot or cold? Either way, we're serving up the flavor of the day. Weekdays at 9 a.m. right here on the station giving you what's now and what's next. 1690 WVON.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
This report is sponsored by Text Now. Other wireless carriers tell you when to pay. Text Now asks, what do you need? It's app-first phone service without commitments, credit checks, or a carrier attitude. Built for people who stop asking for permission. Download today.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Friday Night of Premieres returns to Vine TV beginning March 20th. This Friday, join us for 4 powerful nights of storytelling featuring compelling feature films and a special short film showcase highlighting bold new voices. From gripping documentaries to thought-provoking dramas, these are stories that challenge perspectives, spark conversation, and stay with you long after the credits roll. Friday Night of Premieres is your destination for meaningful cinema, a month of films that inform, provoke, and inspire. Watch them on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV+, the WVON app, or at VON.TV. Back to my conversation with the esteemed Natalie Moore. Natalie, when you pick these questions that you decide to answer, where do they come from? You just sit around and decide, I wonder, how does this happen?
It really, in a case like this, I don't necessarily go in with a list of questions and then just stick to it and wait for the answer and go back and forth. In my younger years, I might have done it that way, but I would say I give prompts to people so they can tell a story. So, of course I had to, with these Black women who were laid off, the nuts and bolts, like what was your job? What were you making? Like how long had you been working there? The biographical information. And then, based on, some of the answers, I have natural, follow-ups. One woman talked about being a community organizer and how she had attended Harris Stowe College in St. Louis and was on campus when Mike Brown was killed by police. And she was able to find a way to get paid a living wage as a community organizer by working with U.S. Forestry, like connecting communities that had been under-resourced or, legacy of red line neighborhoods, and giving them money in programs, or giving, you'll love this, giving Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity money for their youth program for, young men to, be in the outdoors.
I do love that.
Yes. And these women found meaning in their work. One woman said, I never woke up and thought I have to go to work. They found meaning, they found purpose. And, my story also gets into the history of having a good government job. And I did some research and found that President Woodrow Wilson, while not the same way as Trump, he started purging African Americans from the federal government. White supremacy does not like uppity Black folks who are earning a living wage, who are able to buy property, who are able to forge a path for themselves. And when we look at 2025 and Donald Trump, and I write about this, Black women were the group that consistently voted against Trump every time he has run. Black women are deeply revered in some Democratic and progressive circles. How many times have we heard Black women will save America? Black women are the keepers of democracy. Black women should be protected and listened to. But does that really happen? And Black women's refusal to back his policies or excuse his ignorance or boorishness put them in the crosshairs. And when you look at the jobs that were cut, Black women being impacted, Trump saying things like white people are treated very badly by civil rights legislation, it seems like he couldn't wait to get his lick back against so-called uppity Black women who don't show any loyalty to him. That was one of my big takeaways.
Natalie, when you speak to it and put it in the context that it should be put in, it's so understandable, particularly for someone who is as vengeful and as nasty as he is. So appreciate you for doing that and elevating it in ways in which we should watch, particularly as I talk to these brothers who supported Trump. You can check Natalie's work out and all these other wonderful articles at Hammer and Hope. Go to hammerandhope.org. It's all great. Natalie, so many more things to talk to you about. Come back soon.
Well, I'll be back.
I know, and I love it. Appreciate you being here this morning and appreciate your writing.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We're going to leave it right there for today, ladies and gentlemen. Nat, thank you for telling us about all this madness outside, which is why Natalie wisely stayed home and did this differently than she typically does. And Titus, glad you made it. Stay here till it gets nice again. And we'll take advantage of all of that. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll ask you, as I always do, as you go through the day, you will come across people who are dealing with things that you know absolutely nothing about. So please be kind, always. And with that, Annette, tell us what's in the headlines. And Titus, take us home.
High winds and blowing snow on this Monday, March 16th, 2026. I'm Annette Flurnoy. In the headlines, the Chicago area is under a winter weather advisory until this afternoon. Expect 1 to 4 inches of snow with high winds. Today is Election Day Eve, with lots of last-minute campaigning happening, along with a surprise endorsement claim. Be sure to keep it locked all day long to WVON 1690 AM for wall-to-wall live team coverage on primary election day Tuesday. National news from the